The muscle car craze of the 1960s was the biggest thing that the United States had done in the automotive market, well, since the conception of the car with the Model T. Today, I have two different muscle cars. We have the Dodge Challenger Scat Pack and the Mustang GT. Now, of course, these are far, far different than their true original 1960s counterparts. Well, maybe not for this one, but to go ahead and compare these cars truly, I have brought along with us a true Mustang enthusiast, somebody who has owned not one, but two Mustangs to give us his true opinion. I've brought along Aiden.
Now, the Mustang GT is transformed from something that was a muscle car a long time ago to more of a sports car with its sleeker and more modern design. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. More and more people are gravitating from a muscle car look to more of a sports car look, which the Mustang has taken on, versus the Challenger, which still looks like a boat and is heavier than this one is. This one weighs about 3,600 pounds.
Now, while Aiden may go on and on and on about the Mustang being sleek and all that, whatever, I want to give props to Dodge because Dodge stuck to their roots. This thing looks like it was made in 1970, just modernized, because it was. While Ford and Chevy had to go more sleek, more modern to compete, Dodge didn't have to because they knew people would buy this. This is truly a muscle car. Those two are not muscle cars, they're sports cars. This is what you buy when you're like, I want a muscle car with a bunch of power, rear wheel drive. Sure, it's heavy, but come on, look at it. This is truly the muscle car of the modern day age. Now, I want to talk to you about the price real quick because this specific one right here is a 2019 RT Scat Pack, and the current asking price of this specific Challenger is $52,000. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, what? That's crazy. Well, this thing holds its value because it's the only muscle car. The Mustang, while it's around the same price range, it'll drop a lot more than this will.
Now, he wants to talk about the price of that Challenger over there. Well, let me talk about the price of this Mustang. That used, 52 grand. This new is about 55. Would you rather pay that much for a car that came out in 2008 or pay for this one that came out in 2023 and had its last refresh in 2018? I'd rather this one instead. Now let's talk about the engine on the Mustang and its transmission options. This is a 5-liter V8, makes 450 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. If you're a Mustang owner of like a 2019, 2020, and 2021, yes, yours makes more power than this one does by 10 horsepower and 10 more torque, but still, it's pretty healthy power numbers. It's mated to a 6-speed manual transmission, which yes, is made of glass, but that doesn't mean it's not fun. The other option, and the better option, is going to be the 10-speed automatic that you can get with this car. Now, when it comes to the 0 to 60 times and the quarter-mile times of this specific Mustang, this will do 0 to 60 in about 4.1 seconds, which is pretty healthy for a car that costs $50,000 new. Quarter-mile sits around 12.5 seconds, while that boat, of course, is going to get there in about 2 minutes. So, better off getting this one instead.
Now, he's had to talk about all that 5-liter Coyote V8 and whatever, but let's talk about the real powerhouse muscle engine in the room. This right here is a 6.4 liter, and if you didn't think it was muscle car enough, they put it on the side, 392 cubic inch, naturally aspirated, Jack Daniel drinking, bald eagle screaming V8. And guess what? This is not even the most powerful one they offer. Sure, you could get a supercharged V8 in the Mustang with the Shelby. This one, for the same price range, you could get a 700 horsepower Hellcat. And he was talking about quarter-mile times. Guess what? This has an 11.7 quarter-mile time. 485 horsepower, 475 pound-feet of torque. Torque wins races, baby. That's all I gotta say. Now, in terms of the driving aspects of this machine right here, I will give it to Aiden. This thing is much heavier, and up here in the nice mountains, you can feel it in the corners. I mean, you're taking corners, I'm in third gear, kind of giving it some throttle, and you do feel the weight of the car shifting, whereas in the Mustang, that's not really prevalent. But I gotta tell you guys, if you're really looking for a muscle car sort of esque of driving feel, of a lot of power, rear wheel drive, you're kind of struggling to get out in first and second, this is by far the car. Sure, it's heavier, sure, it handles like a boat. I mean, we're not gonna dance around the fact that's true, but this really is the modern day muscle car craze. I mean, look at it. Big V8, a lot of power, rear wheel drive, and it's heavy. I mean, what more could you ask from a muscle car?
He is right about one thing. That car cannot corner for the life of it. In fact, I heard that on the first lap of the Nürburgring in the Hellcat, the thing ran off the road and crashed versus this thing didn't. So what does that tell you? This has its Magnarite suspension setup, which this one is equipped with. That helps it in corners, and it just has better steering than that one does because, again, that's a boat. Now, I want to bring in someone who doesn't have a biased opinion about these cars, someone who's never owned one of these vehicles, and that is going to be our cameraman, Matthias. So, Matthias, which one of these cars do you like more?
I'm not gonna lie, I gotta go with the Mustang.
See, that's my boy. And that's why he's our cameraman, because he's smart and practical. Now, I might be a tiny bit biased towards the Mustang because I've owned two of them, but honestly, I think it is the better car. It weighs less, and though it has less displacement than that Challenger does, and less power, that doesn't mean it's not better. It's faster, and honestly, it looks better too.
Well, I mean, looks are very subjective, right? Because as we mentioned earlier, this is definitely the most muscle car-esque out of all of them. If you're looking for an American muscle car that's rear-wheel drive, a lot of power, and yeah, sure, it may be heavier, but the Challenger is really the only way to go. I mean, it's got more displacement. There's no replacement for displacement, as he thinks over here. But this is definitely truly the car you should get if you're looking for the muscle car experience. That's not even a muscle car. It's a sports car. I mean, look at it. And it's, what is this, green paint with the white stripe? Did you design this? Coping with what?
You're coping with your slow boat over there.
It's not slow.
Seems pretty slow to me.
It could barely take off because it's got so much power.
Boat.
No. But is your transmission made of glass?
Yes.
Is it? Is it? Well, I have a Tremec 6-speed.
That's besides the point.
It's not besides the point. I mean, as you guys can see, it really truly is opinion based. I mean, there's no way we can all agree that either this is the best car or this is the best car. It truly is, you know, your own opinion. If you really want a muscle car that looks like a muscle car and drives like a muscle car, this is by far the way to go. If you want a sports car and a car that truly does handle better than pretty much all the rest of them, this is the way to go. But at the end of the day, it's all about the experience you're looking for.
Cope harder.